Hi, I'm Vincent with Bocconi Real Estate. I'm here with Greg Moulton, owner-operator of Matrix of Motion Gym.
Correct.
Tell me a little bit about the name. How did we get to Matrix of Motion?
So Matrix of Motion, it kind of stems from one of the areas that I'm specialized in, which is something called muscle activation techniques. And the idea to muscle activation is to identify the root cause or underlying weaknesses of your body prior to exercise.
Okay.
So matrix, one of the definitions of matrix is like the beginning or a molding of something and kind of taking something from nothing and putting it into a rolling scenario. So if you kind of break it down based on what I'm specialized in terms of finding that underlying weakness, that root cause, the beginning of motion, the beginning of exercise is where I kind of come into play with the muscle activation. And so the matrix of motion, the beginning of motion is kind of where that name came from. We get asked that a fair bit in terms of what's in the name, where did that come from, but it's really just the beginning of motion. That's what it stems down to, but matrix just sounded cooler.
Well, I mean, it says a lot about the business, about understanding the underlying weaknesses of the person before you start to just say, hey, jump on the machine and start lifting weights, right?
Correct. There's a process that we go through, and we don't do like a cookie cutter scenario, and we make sure that we micro progress all of our clients through their exercise. We would never just take somebody and say, hey, good luck, and throw them on something that they can't handle, and we have to make sure that we take our necessary precautions with that. And that's kind of where it all stems from, is just making sure that we start with their bare minimum, and we put on the least bit of unaccustomed exercise that they're used to. And if you progress in that manner, then it's a fail-safe process.
Makes sense to do a little bit more of an assessment to understand what people's needs are, what their goals are as well, before they kind of just jump in and say, hey, start lifting these weights.
Correct.
How long would it take someone out of shape like me to do a proper assessment? A few weeks or a few hours?
So an assessment would be, it's literally just an hour, thereabouts. So our process, we take an initial consultation, and the purpose of that is just to identify whether a potential client is a good fit for us.
Okay.
If they are a good fit based on what their goals are and what their past history is, then we can move into an evaluation. That evaluation process is going through something called a comparative assessment of mobility. So essentially, if one arm can come to here, we expect the other arm to do the same thing. And if it can't, then we're looking at underlying muscular weaknesses that could be potentially causing that limitation in motion. Once we've identified all those limitations, then we can progress into more of like a report of findings and kind of putting it down onto paper and putting together a bit of a game plan. From the game plan, that's where our first session actually takes place. So there's a bit of a process for new clients, but the purpose of that is to ensure that everybody coming in is getting the best possible service that we can offer. And in order to do that, we have to know exactly where they're stemming from.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So you just celebrated an interesting anniversary yesterday. Tell us about that.
So we've hit our 1-year anniversary. So Matrix of Motion, we launched basically 1 year ago. So October 1st, 2017 was the big start for the gym. It's been a roller coaster ride ever since, but we're looking forward towards the future, and we're excited for what's to come. Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Jen.
You do training for the Hurricanes?
Newmarket Hurricanes, yeah.
No way.
So Jen's their athletic therapist.
Bye, Jen.
And then I've just been named as their strength and conditioning coach.
Amazing.
And so starting this year, we do team training with them once a week from here. So Tuesday nights, that's our time.
Fantastic. Do you do any other group training?
We do a lot of team training.
Okay.
So we've got, just recently we launched our Matrix Athletic Academy. So focusing on youth development. So we do have some athletic teams. We've got a Newmarket Hawks baseball team, an East Gwillimbury soccer team, the Newmarket Hurricanes. We've got a lot of younger athletes that are involved in it as well. So individuals who want to better their game and increase their performance without the wear and tear on their body and still capable of performing their best. So more of a long-term development side of things. That's a big athletic aspect that we're really kind of diving into. That's where my passion comes from, a lot of it. We do some small group training, not too much. We're more focused on the personal aspect. We want to make sure that everybody that's coming through here gets that one-on-one kind of touch where they become part of the family, in a sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What's it like working with a team as opposed to individuals? So if you have a team of young athletes coming in, I can only imagine. I'm trying to picture myself as a young athlete. But what's it like in terms of maybe the energy, the dynamic, like how's that different?
Very, very different. From the training perspective, you're bouncing around a whole lot more. So you're trying to give each athlete what they deserve and what they require from a coaching standpoint. But it's a lot more challenging to do it that way. So it takes a little more effort from the trainer, but it's a fun environment too when you can see a team kind of bond together through their strength and conditioning. So it's not always that individual effort, but it brings the whole team aspect together. It can be somewhat of an organized chaos scenario,
sure,
right? So
depending on the age group as well, right?
Depending on the age group, depending on how many, that all kind of factors into it. So we tend to like to keep the groups a little bit smaller if we can. Obviously, with a team scenario, we're faced with whatever that team carries on their roster.
Right.
But we work with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you see a difference in the way a team's able to self-motivate as opposed to an individual?
A little bit. You get that competition between teammates where they all want to outdo the next person, right?
Right.
So there's definitely that component to it. You have an individual coming in from the self-motivation aspect. If they're really interested in fitness, then we don't really have to do too much on that point, but periodically you're trying to encourage them, you're trying to motivate them, you're trying to make sure that they're still working hard and accomplishing their goals, and it can be a little bit more work at that point, but the team aspect, it's generally speaking pretty straightforward.
What's it like for you being attached to a team, being invested in the team? So, you know, if the team wins, the team loses. Have you noticed a difference yet, or?
You know what, so last year we worked with one of the East Gwillimbury hockey teams, and I went out to watch a couple of their games, and it's nice to be able to watch how they performed it on the ice, and to see how their strength and conditioning is paying off for them. This past week, I actually was just at a Newmarket Hurricanes game, brought my family out, and it was fun to watch them play. I think the best part actually was afterwards, when we're leaving, and we just walked past their dressing room, and they came out and they grabbed 2 little mini sticks, and they gave them to my kids. And they came out and signed autographs, and so it was kind of that, I don't know, just more of a camaraderie aspect where you're part of the team. You're not just this bystander. You're not just a fan, but you're involved in all that they do. I think that can be pretty exciting.
It seems like in Newmarket, it's a big enough community, but it's a small enough community where you can really become part of it in a unique way. So, tell me a bit about like operating a small business in Newmarket. So, kind of the way you are, you know, you're the coach for the team. You know, you're a small business in the community.
Yep.
You see, is that a fair analogy?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of support within Newmarket. The community, the local businesses, we all typically want to support each other. I think that's important when you're a small business owner, is to, you know, work local, shop local kind of scenario. Mm-hmm. The Chamber of Commerce is a great starting point in terms of building up that aspect with the support from other community and other business owners. I am part of I'm part of the Newmarket Chamber, as well as what they call their Entrepreneurs in Motion group, and so it's a great opportunity to get to know other business owners that you wouldn't necessarily come into contact with on a regular basis, but get to know them more on a personal level, and truly what kind of drives them with their business, and to see how we all support each other. That's one of the greatest things within Newmarket, I think, is just that support from it.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree. I've noticed, I've only been up here for about 10 months, and it's incredible to see the community really does rally around the community. So people want to invest in the community. Yep. They want to know what's going on in the community, and then they want to really support it. So how long have you been in the area?
We've been in the area for 7 years. We've lived in Newmarket for 2, and then we've just recently, within the past 5 years, moved up to Holland Landing. We didn't want to go too far from Newmarket just because we enjoy the area. Yeah. Like, we're so close to being like Fairy Lake and Main Street, where everything kind of happens down there, and we're close enough to Yonge and Green Lane, where you've got Costco and Superstore and anything you can ask for. We're just that one little step away, but we're still close enough to be right involved with everything.
Yeah, it seems like Newmarket's really like kind of the hub for the area. You have the mall, you have the hospital, there's a whole bunch of the rinks. People really kind of come into the community. Yeah. You know, come into Newmarket to use everything, so people really invest in it, right?
Yeah, and all congregate there. And they've got great opportunities with like the farmers market on Saturday mornings, which is, if you haven't been there, I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic morning. All the local farmers and everything, it's great to have that so close to you.
Yeah. I've noticed as well, so Newmarket's a big sports town, it seems like. I know that you work with a bunch of sports teams. Like, do you see that as well? Like that families and parents, like they're really into athletics. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I think so. We maybe in all athletics, right? We all want to see our kids being like the next Wayne Gretzky or Sidney Crosby or whoever.
Connor
right?
McDavid,
So Connor
local hero,
McDavid, right? Like there's so many individuals that we kind of strive for, and we want to see our kids do well. I kind of take it from not so much from the performance going to a professional level, but from what you can learn from being on a team, from the discipline and the work ethic, and how that can transform a child and a youth athlete, and create them to be a truly contributing into society in a positive manner. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, there's an incredible correlation between what we learn in sports and what we learn in a team environment, but also, I mean, in fitness in terms of discipline and self-dedication and motivation. That really translates into everything you're doing in life.
Well,
right?
that's just it. So we do a lot of work with the athletic side of things, but even just our other clients, and we call them other, but it's our individuals that come and work with us who are recovering from surgery or have had back issues for years and years and years, and they find a way that we can overcome that through exercise. And I think it's nice to be able to watch what they can do and how they can transform that and pass that on to others in the area, and we kind of all help each other out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, we're not in a very conventional gym. I mean, it's not like you're walking to a big box gym.
No.
So tell me a bit about the dynamic actually in this gym setting.
Yeah, so one of the big things that kind of got us into where we are now is we want to be able to offer something different that the fitness industry just doesn't really have right now. At least in the Newmarket area, we're kind of short on the boutique style. So you've got your big box clubs, and we're trying to offer something that's a little more private, a little more intimate, where you can come in and everybody else is kind of in the same boat as you are. You're not feeling like you're being judged. There's no intimidation aspect here.
You're not waiting 50 minutes for a machine.
Right? We have a limited number of memberships. So from the gym side of things, there's only 150 memberships available. Once we hit 150, we put a cap on that. And in order for somebody else to join, we need somebody to cancel. Hopefully nobody cancels,
Right,
but
right.
But that's the idea there, is that there's only a limited number available, and so with that, you're always going to make sure that there's a lower number of individuals that are in here. You're never going to be in a real crowded space. We know everybody by name. We know their kids' names. We know their spouses' names. We know where they work. We know where they play. We know all of these things about them, where you don't necessarily get that from the big box club.
Yeah, it's an entirely different model where the big box model is as many memberships as possible. And it's nice to hear, it's refreshing to hear you have a cap where you're really protecting that boutique environment where,
Correct.
like you said, you get to know people and they get to know you and they really get invested in the actual facility.
It's a quality versus quantity scenario, where we're not looking at getting the quantity of members in necessarily, but we want to make sure that the quality of the ones here are holding up to the standard that we have at Matrix Motion. And I think we're doing a fantastic job with that so far.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about how you got into fitness.
I'm a hockey guy.
Go figure.
Right?
Go figure.
So I was in sports my entire life. When I was in school, at one point I thought I was going to get into computer engineering, and then I just, didn't quite seem to fit very well, so I started studying kinesiology at York University, and it just kind of all fell into place from there. I've always been involved in health and fitness and sports, and that's been a large part of my life, and it's just kind of seemed to be a no-brainer at that point to kind of continue this into a career path.
What's it like not being in fitness but running a business in fitness? What are the challenges? Like, what do you see a little bit of a difference?
Definitely. From being the business side of things, I think one of the struggles that I've had is for the first little while, I found my own health was kind of suffering a little bit because I was so focused on getting the business going that I wasn't getting my own workouts in and kind of missed that a little bit. So that's kind of shifted around now that we've kind of got things going, and I'm back to where I need to be. But it's different running a business than just being involved in the fitness and health industry. It has its challenges, but it's got its great times as well, and I don't want to discredit any side of that, right?
Yeah, it's so common. I hear from so many people that I have these conversations with, small business owners. The personal investment is so great in the business. It's common that people, I don't want to say overextend, but that they give so much to the business. They want to see it grow so rapidly. And I've noticed as well in Newmarket, it's amazing that you have such a support structure where people can bring you up and people can can support you when, when things get hard, right? But it's so common that small business owners, they give so much of what they have to the business. And I mean, us, the clients, we get to benefit, but often, the owners are the ones that suffer, right? So
I think part of that, though, is building a good team. And it took us a little while to kind of get that team, but right now, the individuals that we have working with us, we couldn't ask for anything better. And I think part of being able to offer our clients all that we want to be able to offer them, and for myself as a business owner to be able to do what I need to do from the business side of things and from personal side of things, and all of our team members, we all kind of play together as a team, as a family, right? And I think when you have the right people in place, it just makes it so much easier to do that.
yeah, I would agree. Okay, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Best way to be calling 905-235-7665, so that'd probably be your best bet. You can check us out on Facebook or on our website. It's just matrixemotion.com, or just send myself an email, greg@matrixemotion.com.
Okay, what if they want to stop by and check out the gym? Where are we?
We're 1110 Stellar Drive. Best way is to just kind of pop in or schedule an appointment with myself, and we can definitely kind of give you a tour, let you see the space, and show you how this is a different place in Newmarket.
Incredible. Thank you so much for your time, Greg.
You're welcome. Thank you.